It's card number 152 from that 1953 Bowman Color set. It's Clyde Vollmer of the Washington Senators. I mean, that looks more like a Red Sox jersey to me. But this is before these baseball companies went to the trouble of trying to airbrush out such things, which makes these cards much nicer, in my opinion, because a lot of airbrushing is foolery, if you ask me. This is another full cloud card, as I like to call these. Let's take a look at the back of Clyde card and see what he was up to. Clyde is a slugger, period. You guys say more. He appeared in 90 games for the Red Sox, 1952, hence the photograph. And his batting average was 260. He had 12 doubles, 4 triples, and 11 homers. In his major league game, he hit a home run on the pitch. It was tossed to him during his first at. That's always. So here he is, Clyde Vollmer, formerly of the Red Sox, and at least in '53, member of the Washington Senators. If it's card number 153, or you guys trouble hearing me? Can you guys hear me now? After all of that, thank you for the heads up, Jason. I wasn't looking at the chat. Can you guys hear me now? It's better. Okay. And it was so good too. You just missed everything, or maybe you heard it. Maybe you heard it, and it was just like really annoyingly loud and echoey. Anyway, if it's card number 152, it's certainly number 152 in terms of sessions of Card Room Live. Clearly, it's not a show, because we're not going to start over. It's a hangout for fellow vintage collectors, whether we have guests or not, whether our microphones work or not. Most of the time, we waste time looking at and talking about old cardboard, and through it all, we always try to make it time well wasted. And dare I say that we've done just that for about 4 years now. So if you're here with us live, welcome to you. Welcome to my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to the commenters. Welcome to the folks from all over social media land. If you're new to Card Room Live, don't be afraid to say hello. You are amongst collectors. You are amongst cardboard friends. This is the live stream where everybody knows your name. And if we don't know your name, we'll learn it soon enough. But you got to introduce yourself. Otherwise, it can't happen. Now, you might be listening to this later, in which case you've probably turned it off and you're not listening to it because you heard all the echo and you thought, I'm not going to listen to this live stream. But if you're still listening to it, perhaps you are doing one or more of the following. You might be going to work, you might be coming home from work, you might be sorting your cards, you might be looking at eBay or an auction site, you might be rolling out meatballs, you might be walking the dog, sitting on the john, putting the kids to bed, battling raccoons, wondering if Eddie Waitkus will come up in conversation, or what other kind of mic foolery besides audio issues that we'll get into tonight. Whatever you might be doing, I do hope you get something out of it. And as Max Jackson is saying, I'm always looking for new things to add to the intro. So if you're doing something that's not listed here while listening to Card Room Live, let me know. You can either email me at Bowman53channel@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Bowman53_Alex, on X1953 Bowman Color, and on Blue Sky, Bowman53. And of course, all that information can be found in the description below. This session of Card Room Live is brought to you by our friends at Reindeer Studios. You can go to reindeerstudios.com or look him up on Etsy to get your hobby-related gear and custom cards that you're just not going to find anywhere else, try as you might. T-shirts that your wife and regular life friends won't understand, but t-shirts that all of your hobby pals will be envious of. Reindeer has great customer service, and if you don't believe me, just go ahead and try causing some ruckus in the chat. You could ask a question about Reindeer Studios right now, and you'd probably get an answer from the owner himself and from some of his many satisfied customers. If Ray Stantz is the heart of the Ghostbusters, Reindeer Studios must be the heart of the hobby. Check out Reindeer Studios store today at reindeerstudios.com. And no, I do not get a paycheck for saying any of that. So who's at the bar? Is anybody still at the bar? Can you guys hear me? LaCroix makes a surprise appearance. Am I talking to myself here? Let's see who's here. Jacob is here. Drew from Clean Sheep Shots is here. Good evening, everyone. Mike, the sports history collector, is here, ready to roll meatballs. While tending bar, Mike is definitely a multitasker. Mike and Drew are talking about agriculture in California. Everyday card collector Jason is here. What's up, beautiful people? Sven is here. Melissa, the sports guru 17, is here saying hello. You heard it here first, everybody. Reindeer Studios does not trust corn from California. Jay Hawker Vintage Cards is here. Good evening to you. Mookie Chilson is here. The leftovers are gone, and the leg lamp is lit. Let's do this. It's that time of the year. Stuke, Wrench Holder 1976, is here. Killebrew 3 Collector is here. Good evening, lads. Jason, I hope you find a magical pinhole in your stocking, Mook. That's a really bizarre sentence that only people from this community could possibly understand. Spartan Collector, good evening, gents. The turkey went down smooth, but came out a little rough. Just a little bit too much information there, but good to see you. Previously mentioned Max from Maxa Jackson is here. There is RipFan8, Stephen with a PH. Peacemaker Cards is here. Ruben, not first tonight, but still here nonetheless. Peter B is here. Let's see. Warren D from the CLE is here. Drew is saying don't buy corn from California. So there's an anti-corn in California coalition building right now. Ruben was busy fighting raccoons in the backyard, but he made it in here. Mr. Wilhelm, and this is where the mic started to get issues. So I appreciate everybody saying something, but I couldn't hear or see any of it. So I'm glad Jason texted, because I could have gone the whole night just talking to myself. The Dog Ate My Card is here. Who else is here? Ray from Philly is here. Now everybody can hear me, which was so important, right? You really need to hear what I'm saying. Ross Loves Cards is here. Peeps Wax Packs is here. People wonder, what will he do when he runs out of cards? We saw a brief preview. Alex will be short-circuiting. Yeah. I've got some plans for where we're headed. So in case anybody's not aware, this set is 160 cards, and we're at 152. So you do the math. Alan's Cards making an appearance. Good to see you, Alan. Wade Boggs fan is here. What's going on? Signs of the Pastime is here. Craig's Cards is here. Mookie coming in with the bit of trivia. Clyde Volmer is one of 32 players in Major League Baseball history to homer in their first pitch in the major leagues. Thank you, Mookie. I'm glad that came through despite the insane echoes. And a reminder that the Reindeer's Doorbuster sale is still happening. The prices are insane. I can see the made-for-TV ad. Mookie, I can see you doing this ad. I think it would boost sales for sure. Will we hear about Eddie Wakus tonight? That's always the question. It's a good question to ask. Orlando, a collector's James here. I'm putting California corn in Drew and Scott's Christmas stockings. Nice. Do we have to go through the 55 Bowman card set next? Are you skipping 54 Bowman? Where's the love for 54 Bowman? I don't appreciate that. Andy. So what's going on, guys? Happy Thanksgiving or post Thanksgiving. I texted with a few folks. Everybody seemed to have a nice time. I did on this end. Good times had by all. Good time putting everything together. I cooked everything myself from start to finish. Went well. There's a real sense of satisfaction in terms of finishing that off, and preparing everything and having everything turn out well. In my hobby world, I've got some stuff to share with you guys, but I'm going to check out what's going on here in the chat. Larry says, hello, good to see you, Larry. Max, Alex, how can I convince you to hire a lookalike for episode 161? They'll never acknowledge it, and then it's back to you for 162, and you never acknowledge it. Well, Max, because you shared this publicly, that kind of throws a wrench in the plan. I don't know that it would work. There's not really a budget for Cardroom Live. But I appreciate the idea. I've got an idea for episode 160. And there's some debate as to whether or not there will be a 161. And I'll just leave it at that. When you wear a Reindeer Studio shirt, you're the belle of the ball. Replace that L on your forehead with a W. Nice. I like it, Jason. That's a good pitch. What sides did I serve? It was super minimalist. We had cranberry sauce, which was homemade, and I have to say, I know there's like two camps. I grew up absolutely loving the canned cranberry sauce. Shout out to anybody that still loves the jellied canned cranberry sauce. But I actually made the homemade traditional cranberry sauce, and it turned out fine. And I take that as a sign that I guess I have to be an adult and accept the traditional cranberry sauce. But part of me still has nostalgia for the canned stuff. So that's a poll question. Who in here is a canned cranberry sauce person, and who's a traditional cranberry sauce person? I feel like that says something about you. So I had cranberry sauce, green beans, mashed potatoes, peas and corn and vegetables. We had some dinner roll, like brioche rolls. What else did we have? I feel like I'm forgetting a few things. Gravy, of course. And then we had some really nice pumpkin pie, which that's the one thing I did not make. There's a really great bakery here in my town that I always get my pumpkin pie from. And it always delivers. Mookie Chilson, cranberry sauce is the California corn of cranberry sauces. Well, how many cranberry sauces are there, Mookie? There's two. Okay, Craig is behind the can. Canned, but whole cranberries. Okay. See, now you're just confusing the debate, Ruben. Okay, Wade Boggs fan is behind can. I'm in agreement. I'm in this weird place where like I'm transitioning towards traditional, but I could easily be swayed to go back to can. Homemade everything for Orlando. I'm in agreement with Orlando, I think. I really took pride in the fact that everything that I made this year was made from scratch. Mr. Wilhelm says, no cranberry, extra stuffing. Jason agrees, canned cranberry gelatin for the win. Absolutely. So there's something very American about that, right? No, I didn't do stuffing. And here's the reason I didn't do stuffing. I think, now that I think about it, when I was a kid growing up in Pennsylvania, and I grew up in Pennsylvania Dutch country where those people know a thing or two about cooking that would like kick anybody's ass, pardon my language. We would get stuffing from our local church. That was the most amazing stuffing that I've ever had in my life. And I guarantee you that it puts any stuffing anybody's had to shame. And because I had that as a kid, and I've tried other stuffings and I've tried to make stuffings, everything pales in comparison, so that it's like it's not even worth having stuffing. That's how good that stuffing was. It's like if I can't have that stuffing, I don't want it. That's my stuffing problem. Here in cranberry country, we make it from scratch, Peter. I totally understand. Stew, cranberries, sweet potato, anything, scalloped corn, and let's see. And New Jersey is the cranberry capital of the world. Yeah, it may be, but I have a good buddy that lives in New Jersey, and he swears by the canned cranberry stuff. So, as Larry is saying, stuffing in the north and dressing in the south. No cranberry sauce for Steven, but lots of gravy. Here's Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. What's up, Dan? I made stuffing with 2 different types of bread every year, and mine doesn't pale in comparison. Dan, I would love to try your stuffing at some point. That would be fun. Let's do a YouTuber Thanksgiving some year. I'm sure all of our significant others would love that. So we can have a stuffing contest. Adam's Card Closet, what's up? Hello to everyone. Yeah, we are. I thought we were done with Thanksgiving, but it looks like we're just getting started. Lots of Thanksgiving talk. I'm going to put the link in the chat. A chili cook-off. Now that sounds exciting. I'm down for that. This guy knows a thing or two about cooking. 4-Leaf Cards is here. I'm going to put the link in the chat if anybody has cards to show or cooking recipes to share or stuffing or cranberry sauce opinions that they want to share or just want to pop in and say hello. You are more than welcome to come in and chat it up. The link is in the chat. In the meantime, I'll share a little bit of what's going on with me. Nothing terribly exciting. It's Christmas time. I'm focused on getting presents for loved ones, which means no baseball cards. And that's fine. I've got other ways to enjoy my hobby. For me, that's reading. I finished this book finally. I'm ashamed to say that I had never read it before. Being somebody that collects the Brooklyn Dodgers, kind of ridiculous that I never read this book. It was incredible. It surprised me in a lot of ways. I learned a lot about players. And it was not just a nostalgia trip. It was really eye-opening, both in terms of what the players were like during their heyday, but also, of course, later in life. And I think anybody that's read this book would probably agree that the most intriguing part is when the author visits all of the players years, really decades after they finished playing, and sort of finds out where they were and asks them about their time as a Dodger playing in Brooklyn. There's some sad stuff in here. There's some poignant stuff in here. It's a great, I understand why this is like the book. Having finished it, I understand why this is like a really important book in the hobby or in baseball history. By the way, this was my bookmark for that book. So I'm glad I got through it. And it definitely got me thinking about certain players, and it ultimately added some additional cards to my collecting goals, which is part of the fun of it, right? When you're reading a book about baseball history is to add some more hobby goals, because you can appreciate the players a bit more. And here I just happen to have these two sitting here. I've shown these before, but this 1954 Topps Joe Black. Joe Black is one of the players that is featured in the book and that is visited by Roger Kahn. Of course, I knew about Joe Black, but reading the book really helped me appreciate him more. And this was a card that I think is one of his nicest looking cards. I picked this up earlier this year, and the other one that I just have sitting here by chance is this 56, which I've shown before, Clem Levine. Another player that's featured in the book. And enjoyed reading about. So was happy to finish off that experience. Let's see what else is going on. 4-leaf cards. For those of you wondering if he had died, I swear I'm going to make a video this week or next to prove that he's not dead, but he's clearly not dead because he's here right now. So keep your eyes open, guys. Warren versus the Swedish Chef cook-off. Okay. Max, I'm on a diet, and y'all made me question my Thanksgiving choices. That's what we're here to do, Max. We're here to question. The most recent book that I picked up, which I posted on Instagram this weekend, was in relation to the video that I'm currently researching to make. I'm going to be making a video. I shared this last week, but I'll say it again. I'm making a video about this card, the 54 Hank Aaron rookie card, which is one of my favorites. I'm sure it's among a lot of people's favorites. I think it's a beautiful card. I think it's an important card. And I've always wanted to make a video about it, and so I'm sort of exploring it. And in my exploration, I'm doing some research on Henry Aaron himself, and this is one of the books that was recommended to me, and I picked this up, and it just came. This is The Last Hero, A Life of Henry Aaron, written by Howard Bryant. I'm curious if anybody has read this book. Howard Bryant is somebody that is featured in the baseball documentary by Ken Burns. But I'm excited to get into this book. I haven't really cracked it open yet. Just kind of flipped through it a little bit. But this is one of several books that I'll be getting into, in addition to doing some research online and using Saber resources and so on. I also have this book, 1954, the year Willie Mays and the first generation of black superstars changed Major League Baseball forever. I've read this book a while back, but we'll be kind of going back through it again with this goal in my mind. There's a lot of stuff in here. It's just about the year 54 in general, which is helpful. And obviously, Hank is a part of it, but there's other elements going on in the Cleveland Indians, the World Series, of course. That's a really iconic World Series for a number of reasons. You got Ernie Banks and Al Kaline and a lot of other stuff going on. So that'll be fun to go through as well. All right. What's going on in the chat? Bookmark Rod Carew had more doubles than there are pages in The Boys of Summer. Oh, you've outdone yourself, Mookie. Bookmark Rod Carew had more doubles than there are pages in The Boys of Summer, 445 to 442 hardcover. Yeah, let me see. Let me just double check that factoid with the paperback. Yeah, this version throws a wrench in things. It's 474, but I don't want to rain on your parade, Mook. Well done. Max, I legit cannot find a New York Giants cap that I want for Black Friday. I want the 50s era in a flex fit or adjustable back. It should not be this hard. Also, they are so hard to search for because football, yes. The New York Giants as a team are difficult to deal with in the modern age because of football, in terms of searches, in terms of tagging things, in terms of shopping. Yeah, I totally agree, Max. And I also think, for as great as like Ebbets is, you know, and 47, and what are the other brands out there that kind of handle vintage, like Cooperstown-esque stuff? As great as some of those outfits are, there's a ton of like what's the word I'm looking for? What's the phrase I'm looking for? There's like untapped stuff that they could get into when it comes to hats, t-shirts, when it whether it's the Brooklyn Dodgers, New York Giants, like any of these like defunct teams from that moved or changed. There's so much more stuff that could be done that's just not out there. Craig's card, I've done that. Read a book and then buy cards about guys in the book. Absolutely. And that's, for me, that's how I collect. Not entirely, but it is a huge part of how I collect, because as some of you guys I'm sure would advocate, there are plenty of interesting players out there beyond the obvious ones that are worth looking into. And it just, to me, it makes the hobby more enjoyable, and it makes your collection more interesting. It's as simple as that. Mike, I don't care what anyone says to me. Hank Aaron is the true home run king. I'm right there with you. Dan, I met Howard Bryant years ago when he was a local reporter. That's really cool. Terrific writer. Yeah, that's awesome. You don't like the cover of that 1954 book? I love you, Scott. We can't change the past, but we can avoid it, right? Now Max and Scott are going at it. Those New York Giants fans, man, they're tough. Yeah, let's not fact check too hard. You're right. It's all about accuracy, but only somewhat. How about them Bears? Seattle Pilots hat. Absolutely. Yeah, why not? Where are they? Books are the ultimate hobby influencers, besides Mookie, right? Besides Mookie influencing all of us to collect the backs of cards and pinhole cards. A book club or recommendation list is a good idea. Yeah, we had this discussion maybe a couple months ago that we would more regularly do book recommendations. I have a question I'll throw out into the chat, into the bar. If anybody would like to volunteer as a potential guest on a future session regarding baseball books or hobby related books, raise your hand, because I'm looking for people that would be willing to be on a session about recommendations for books. And these can be books that you've read recently or books that you've enjoyed in the past. I know all of us have some baseball related books and hobby related books to some degree, but I don't know how many of us have a lot or have a lot of strong opinions about them. So I'm not always sure who to ask about that. So if you feel like that's something you'd be interested in doing, let me know in the chat, or you can text me or send me an email. It would have to be next year at some point, because the rest of this year is already booked up. But I would love to schedule another book discussion amongst collectors. So let me know. Half of the New York Baseball Giants hats that I found feature the era that I'm looking for are flat brims. I could be wrong, but I feel like most people searching for New York Giants caps are not rocking flat brims, right? Um, I hear what you're saying, Max. You'd rather see Minnie Minoso bunting. Well, we can make that happen, Scott. I'm willing to get up and go get it if you really want me to. Or Al Rosen kneeling. I can get that too. Bunting cards are amazing. What's more amazing than a Major League Baseball player squaring up to bunt? I ask you. Hey, Triple V. Okay, cool. I will reach out to you about that, and we'll talk. Thank you for saying so. Anybody else? You can put it in the chat, or you can email me or Instagram me or whatever. I have to write Triple V in a way that doesn't make it look like a W, because I'll look at it and be like, what am I writing? What the heck does that say? Bunting cards are almost as cool as a pitcher swinging a bat. Yeah, I quickly forgot about it. As upset as I was when the National League went to the DH, I quickly accepted it. I was like, yeah, this is better. It's better to have the designated hitter. But I do miss the unpredictability of what might happen when a pitcher was up. And I'll never forget being at Game 4 of the 2008 World Series when the Phillies crushed the Rays, and I saw in person Joe Blanton, pitcher for the Phillies, hit a home run in what was a bludgeoning of the Rays, and freaking out because Joe Blanton hit a home run in a World Series game. I mean, that's like, now, granted, every other time he probably would strike out, but it's those once in a lifetime moments when a pitcher does something cool that, to me, makes it sad that pitchers don't hit anymore. If we are talking about bunting, this must be a group of vintage guys. That's right. You're talking about vintage baseball when bunting is coming up. Imagine an adult version of the baseball card Time Traveler books, where a dude goes back in time and has to deal with all the insanity of dead ball era baseball. Right. That's an idea, Max. Make it happen. I'd be willing to share a few books with a few personal stories. That'd be great. Do me a favor and send me an email. Bowman53channel@gmail.com. And we can set something up. Yeah, when was the last time you saw a picture of somebody on base wearing his warm-up jacket? Those were the days. Craig, okay, cool. Thank you. Another potential book guest. The fact that we remember specific pitcher home runs is the exact reason that the DH is universal. I saw Noah Lowry hit one like 20 years ago, and I still think about it. Yeah, but how often do you remember a DH home run? I mean, I don't. I think of, like Kyle Schwarber is the DH for the Phillies now, and I honestly hope they re-sign him. And it's great, but I don't really remember any of his home runs. I'm glad he hits home runs. Did he have the most home runs in the National League this year? If not, he was second. I don't really remember any of them. I'm glad he's hitting them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would rather have Kyle Schwarber at bat than Joe Blanton. Let's just make that clear. But what I liked about the pitchers is that when they did something, you'll never forget it. Who's got cards? Who's got something they want to share? Jump in the live stream, say hello to the community, and share what you got. Max, I'm currently eating. Otherwise, I would join to yell at you about the lack of Giants hat options. Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 New York Giants hats, Max, but they're not up to the Jackson code. So I don't know what to tell you. I can go grab a box of baseballs. But I don't know if they're going to show up in this lighting. I feel like every time I try to show baseball, they get blown out. Here are some pitchers, since we're talking about pitchers. Pitchers not known for their hitting, but known for their throwing, for their hurling. I'm going to do what you're not supposed to do, and that I have long advocated against, which is to do this with my bare hands, but I will hold the baseball by the seams. All of these baseballs are authenticated by either JSA or PSA. Not that anybody really cares. Here's early win. Maybe. See, this is what always happens. You can't see it. You can kind of see it there. Can I give it a shot? Yeah, can you do it like that? It's just too bright. Hold on a second. What if I turn off this light? In the dark. There we go. These baseballs never see light. For anybody that's interested in collecting autographed baseballs, keep them out of the light as much as you can. But there's early win. Card Room Live after hours in the dark. There's Bob Feller. Here's another Bob. Bob Gibson with an inscription. Jim Catfish Hunter. Look at Mookie here trying to keep up with the theme. Early Win had 17 career dingers. Let's hear it for Early Win. Here he is again. Whereas Feller never hit a home run. Raleigh Fingers. Here's one that no one will expect. Shout out to all the Pirates and Philly fans. Kent DeColvey. I loved Kent DeColvey as a kid. It's just like such an unusual delivery. Reminds me of my childhood. Here is a game used Max Scherzer ball. And I have it written down somewhere, like what game it comes from, and it's got the score on there. So it was a shutout. Here's some love sent out to Mr. Mookie, who's trying to keep up with this. Doc Gooden, 86 champs. Here's another game used baseball. Justin Verlander. Win number 248. So this is another game used baseball for Randy Johnson. Oh, this is great. Let's go back to Doc Gooden. So Doc had 8 home runs, and Mookie says, my twin brother was at a game when Doc Gooden went yard. I was so jealous that he wasn't even a fan. I'm going to stop the baseballs for a second. We got a guest coming in. How are you, sir?
Hey, how's it going, y'all?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
What's going on? You got something to put on the screen?
Sure. Yeah, just figured I'd hop in here and show some random stuff. Had a
For
bag
sure.
nearby. I've been randomly collecting these flawless game used cards. I typically only collect pre-war baseball, but
Okay.
I've been going into the modern lane a little bit here and there. So just pick up a few of these game used relics. No autographs or anything too fancy. But here's one of Roberto Clemente.
Nice. How did you like fall into that? Like which one like got you started?
The first one would have been a Frank Chance one that I found at my local card shop here in Austin, Texas, called Lucky Seven. And my buddy Thomas runs the shop, and he happened to have a few relics in the back, and he brought it out. And I don't know, just from then on, I just decided I was going to collect a few of these, and it just snowballed from there. Here's a Jimmy Fox. A big Jimmy Fox fan, so I have a bunch of his cards. Willie Mays. I have them displayed in this particular case here, so it really looks good when it's all displayed together.
Nice.
Here's one of my favorites. It's a Joe Jackson, Hannes Wagner on the same one. And the Jackson's actually a game used, not a barnstorming toward either one. It was actually a game used one.
That's incredible.
That one's a tough one to find.
Yeah, I bet.
And here's Ernie Banks.
Nice.
The Wayner brothers. It's a neat. I had to pick this one up, and I saw the two of them together on one card. So. And here's that Frank Chance I was telling you about initially.
Yeah.
The neat thing about this particular case is it's got another layer underneath. So there's more. Sorry to take up all your time with this stuff.
No. Please, this is great.
Here's one of Hornsby. It's one of the Texas-born players that I collect along with Tris Speaker. The two main pieces of my pre-war PC as far as what I predominantly collect. There's one of Frankie Frisch. I thought this was cool because it had a little scene in there. There's one of Jolton Joe. And of course, I have to have a Tris Speaker in here. Only 4 more to go. Here's one of my favorites of the bunch. Lou Gehrig. So it's a neat triple with Ted Williams, Hank Greenberg, and Yogi Berra. What is this, Mel Ott? Yeah, it's one of Mel Ott.
Awesome.
And there's the last one here. Another triple. Bresnahan was the main reason why I picked this one up. Yeah. I just want to hop in and show a few random modern cards since it's not what I'll ever show again.
That's right. And we're going to have you on in a couple weeks. Where can everybody find you? On Instagram, right?
On Instagram, I have a page here on YouTube, but I haven't started any content on here yet. But more likely next year, I'm going to start putting together like short videos.
All right, great.
And more informative style stuff, but yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks for having me on.
Awesome.
Nice to hop in here and say hello.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see you in a couple weeks, actually, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, take care, man.
All right, man. You too.
So anybody that's on Instagram, that's where you can find him. Triple B ATX for Texas. Thanks for hopping in. Yeah, or you could go there, which is easier. Thank you, Scott. I've got a couple more baseballs. Let's turn off the light again. I've got like my autographed baseball collection has different components to it. I've got a Phillies section. I've got like all-time greats section, and then I have a section that's specifically focused on pitchers. Here is a triple signed baseball. There's Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz. 3 guys that really pissed me off in the 90s as a Phillies fan, but of course you gotta show respect. Here is the Spaceman, Bill Lee, with 1975 American League champs on there. This is a World Series baseball from 1989. Dennis Eckersley, 89 World Series champs. Okay, I'm not afraid to put you in timeout, man. Another World Series baseball, 1981. Fernando Mania, 1981 National League Cy Young Award winner and Rookie of the Year. And I mean, I know who it is. I'm just looking at the baseball. I haven't looked at this in a while. Louis Tiant. It's been a while since I've picked up any autographed baseballs. Once I started getting heavy into the card collecting, it really kind of put it on hold for me. But I do love autographed baseballs, and one of these days I'll get back on track with it. Lights back on. I started with baseballs before cards. Actually, me too, Mr. Wilhelm. That's exactly how I started. I started with baseballs because one of my favorite players, Jimmy Rollins, was retiring, and I didn't know what to do with my astonishment at how much time had passed, that I went out and I got myself a Jimmy Rollins autographed baseball because I wanted to find a way to memorialize just how important he was to me as a player in that era of Phillies baseball. And then I got a Mike Schmidt baseball, and then I just started collecting baseballs. And then I started looking at cards, and the rest is history. Wow, that is tough to admit. I appreciate your honesty. When I was 12 years old, I used a 1984 Blue Jays team signed baseball for home run derby. Wow. Has anybody else in here ever played with a autographed baseball as a kid? A la the Sandlot. I'm sure some other people have stories about that. Mr. Wilhelm, I did one of my most watched videos for whatever reason is a video on my channel called Collecting Autographed Baseballs. And I go into the whole deal. I generally don't display them because they're light sensitive. And even though this room is dark, and I have LED lighting, I try to keep them out of the light as much as possible. So they're really in those boxes. I do have a couple you can see like here and there that I kind of rotate out now and again. And I have a couple over here too. I've got my older baseballs are over there. Mantle, DiMaggio, Ted Williams, Stan Musial, Willie Mays. But I really try not to display them too much. And I rotate them out. And then, I've got this here. I guess that counts. The lights are on for the live stream in here, but usually it's pretty dark in here, aside from the monitor and maybe a couple other lights. But I try not to, just because not a good idea to expose your signatures to too much light. I'm glad you all disliked Shane Victorino because that's what made him good. No, Brad, I've been holding off on doing it, but I will because there's really like a huge part of this room that's not done that I've been kind of waiting to finish before I do a card room video. But I definitely would like to at some point, and maybe I'm kind of hoping maybe in the next year or so that I can actually kind of finish off this room. I know it feels finished. This is what everybody's sort of used to seeing in this room, but there's like a huge section over here that's not really done, and other stuff that's not really the way I want it to be. But hopefully in the next year or so. Mr. Wilhelm says my grandpa gave us a Lou Boudreau ball. I still have it. It's all roughed up from playing with it. Okay. And shoeboxes. Hey, that works. There. If anybody's curious, just in case anybody in here collects baseballs and is curious, I'm going to share a link to the archival box that I use. I've had a few people reach out about it. I am not endorsing this place, nor do I get anything for it. But that's a link to the box that I use. It's an outfit that handles archival products for like museums and storage and things like that, and it's from the research that I did, it's the best thing on the market when it comes to storing baseballs in a sort of museum quality way. Craig says, no, I didn't play with an autographed baseball, but I used my grandpa's Joe DiMaggio type bat to hit a softball once. I bet it flew. Orlando says, yes, my grandfather caught a foul ball and had Orioles players to sign it, and my friends and I tossed it around the next day. I guess this link kind of got busted. Dylan, I'm sorry, man. We got 2 minutes left. I guess that link kind of got busted, but let me give you like a shorter link where you should be able to find it. Collectibles preservation. Let's see, where can I? Boxes, maybe like here. No. Preservation, document, photo, art. Here we go. Boxes, storage boxes. We're definitely not afraid of silence on this show. It's not a show. That's why. Here, I'll share this link. If you go on the second page of this, you'll be able to find it. Did it work? Okay, good. Well, here's a shorter version that kind of takes you to the general place, and then you can kind of like search through it and find them. And they have different sizes. They've got like different number counts in terms of how many baseballs will fit in each box. So you can sort of mix and match it. All right, guys, it's 9 o'clock. It's time to end this thing. Thanks for hanging around. We will have some guests next week. Check out 4Collectors if you're not already over there. Have a great night, guys. Take care. See you next Sunday.